Theirs was a romance for the ages. She was a devoted single mother looking for a fresh start.
She was a nice young lady, very warm, very caring.
He was a small-town cop who'd sworn to serve her and protect her.
Police work was his passion. He bled blue.
But just when it seems their relationship is destined for new heights, tragedy strikes like a lightning bolt.
Man, something ain't right.
A terrifying disappearance sparks a massive search.
Deep down, I think everybody knew something was very wrong.
And a mysterious string of notes left behind points police in the direction of an unlikely suspect.
That note was a note of somebody very troubled.
When the cloud of mystery is lifted, one person is dead, and a key witness has no memory of what's transpired.
He was found laying face down.
There's blood on the bed, there's blood on the floor. She's laying kind of crumpled.
I didn't believe it. Didn't want to believe it, This is not happening.
It was like an episode of The Twilight Zone. She has the knowledge of Wayne's murder, but not the memory of it.
December 11th, 2004. It's a tranquil evening in the city of Gainesville, Texas. But just past 4 a.m., a night manager at a local hotel receives an alarming call from one of their guests. Heading down the hall to investigate, the manager attempts to enter the guest's room, but finds it locked.
Hello, ma'am? Ma'am, hello? Miss? Management?
The door had the deadbolt.
Bill? This is management. Yes, I'm 123. I need to get in. The door is latched. Yes, could you hurry, please?
So the front desk worker called the maintenance man and actually had him break down the door.
I'm 123.
Stepping inside the darkened room, the two men make a startling discovery.
Ma'am? Ma'am? You okay?
Lying on the floor and alone in the room is the female caller.
The room was kind of in a disarray, and they found her laying bloody on the floor, crumpled up, almost fetal-like position.
The woman seems to be in a daze and is slurring her words.
I just need to get up.
She just kept insisting that she just needed help up, that she was okay. When it was obvious to them, it was more than that.
She's on the floor, and she has what they can see as a gunshot wound.
Just keep talking to us.
I'm okay. I just need...
No, just lay there. We'll get somebody to come for you and try to help you.
The bullet went in her head just above her eye.
No, just stay down, okay? Just stay down.
Lying beside the woman is a .25 caliber handgun.
Just keep talking to us.
The hotel manager dials 911.
Yes, I need emergency. I've got a woman shot.
I need help getting up.
No, don't get up. Don't get up.
Within minutes, police officers are on the scene.
When they get there, the scene is fairly chaotic. Their first response is number one, to take care of her, to try to assess her injuries and save her life.
Ma'am, where are you hurt? Ooh, hey, let's make sure we get an ambulance for her real quick.
Storm at 1047. I got one black female gunshot wound to the head. Step it up, please.
We've got help coming, all right? Stay with us here, all right? It won't be too long. We'll get an ambulance here for you.
EMTs arrive moments later, and the woman is immediately rushed to a nearby trauma center. But given her life-threatening injuries, it's unclear whether she'll live or die.
What we got here, Wilson?
Meanwhile, at the hotel, authorities try and make sense of what happened.
There's a .25 auto. This gun right here, we've already bagged it, laying on the ground. We haven't found any shell casings.
There was alcohol there. I think there was some over-the-counter sleeping pills and things she had bought. She had been there quite a while.
Finding no one else in the room, officers are left with one of two scenarios. Either the woman's injuries were self-inflicted, or her assailant had fled the scene.
It's like, what is going on here? Why is the room torn up? Like, why? What is going on?
Sleeping pills, vodka. We don't know if anybody else was here with her.
The whole thing just seemed more bizarre than anything.
The situation grows more disturbing when police identify the woman as Denise Miller and discover that Denise and her boyfriend, police officer Wayne Irby, were reported missing just 24 hours earlier.
Officer Irby did not show up for work. He's missing and she's missing. That raised everybody's red flags.
But what exactly had happened, and where was Denise's boyfriend now? Unraveling that mystery would require investigators to reconstruct the terrible events of the last 24 hours, and along the way, expose a tale of love, jealousy, and some say cold-blooded murder. Growing up in Kansas City, Missouri, Denise Swall was one of the most popular girls in school.
Everybody liked Denise. She seemed like such a sweet person, bubbly and personable.
Even as a teenager, Denise dreamed of the day she could start her own family. A dream that seemed to come true when at 22, she married her college sweetheart. In 1986, Denise gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Whitney, and 2 years later, to son Walter.
They were wonderful children. Both of her kids were wonderful kids.
But after the birth of her children, Denise's marriage began to falter. In 1995, she and her husband filed for divorce. Looking to start her life over, at 36, Denise packed up the kids and moved to the close-knit Dallas suburb of Little Elm, Texas.
It's close-knit, it's small, just a nice place to live. Recently voted one of the safest cities in the state of Texas or in the United States.
She was just looking for a clean slate, a fresh start, just getting away from old places that probably brought up bad memories.
Denise landed a great job with a local liquor distributor. She managed her money well and was able to build a stunning new home for her and her children.
She seemed to be very successful, beautiful home, beautiful family, pictures on the wall, everything was perfect.
Well, almost perfect. Denise still wanted a good man to share her success with. Then one day in 2003, Denise answered a knock on her front door and was caught off guard to see a police officer standing outside.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
My name is Wayne Irby of the Little Elm Police Department. I noticed you had your garage door open. We got a lot of thefts in the neighborhood. You might want to close it.
Okay.
Well, I'm giving you my card, okay? You give me a call if you need anything, all right?
I will do that.
All right, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, now.
Denise appreciated the gesture, especially since it was coming from a big, strong officer like 37-year-old Wayne Irby. A 6-year veteran of the Little Elm Police Department, Wayne wore his passion for his job on his sleeve.
He enjoyed getting along with people well, and he was good, hard working. I'm not just saying that. He truly was. He got out and did his job, and police work was his passion. He bled blue, as we say in the law enforcement industry.
He was somebody that liked to get out and meet people on his beat. He was just one of those people that made you feel good.
It wasn't long before Officer Irby came knocking on Denise's door again. But this time, it had nothing to do with police work.
Since we last met, I definitely couldn't stop thinking about you. I was hoping I could take you out to dinner, maybe a movie.
Sure.
He told me, man, I met this young lady. He said, I think I'm going to settle down with this one.
Denise felt the same way. And after their very first date, the couple became exclusive.
I think that she thought he took to her just as much as she was taken by him. And I think it clicked in that sense. I mean, how could it not?
Wayne Irby started talking about how serious they were getting. He said he really liked Denise a lot.
Receive $100?
A divorced dad himself, Wayne was an immediate hit with Denise's 2 kids.
The kids and him got along great. They treated Wayne like a father figure. If you saw them, you thought those kids were Wayne's kids. They loved and respected him. They seemed to be all one big happy family.
Even so, as the relationship progressed, Denise began to suspect Wayne was just a little too friendly with some other women he ran into on his beat.
He was a ladies' man. There were a lot of women in the community and outside of the community that would talk about him often. He was very social. He talked to a lot of them.
Eventually, Denise confronted Wayne about the situation, but Wayne vehemently denied the accusations.
He would get upset with her and tell her, there's nothing going on with anybody. He'd tell me, Walter, man, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing nothing at all.
Was Wayne being honest? On the surface, it was hard to tell. Either way, the allegations took a toll on the relationship.
When there is a trust break, not only do you mistrust that person, then you mistrust the things within yourself.
But by the spring of 2004, Wayne and Denise seemed to have put their trust issues behind them. And later that year, the couple bought a house together.
At that point in his life, he was ready to settle down, and that's the reason he bought that home with her.
But life under the same roof wasn't everything Wayne and Denise expected, and soon the couple's old trust issues began to rear their head again. A few months later, Wayne decided they should go their separate ways.
There's a lot of crying, a lot of tears.
They were fighting and he was threatening on leaving.
Wayne moved into a rental home across town, but when Denise unexpectedly lost her job in November of that year, he began having second thoughts about the separation.
They reconciled when Denise lost her job because he didn't want her and her children to not have a home, and tried to work it out.
He had gone back to her when she lost her job. She had needed him, and so he goes back.
But just as it seemed Denise and Wayne were back on track, their world turned upside down. It begins at 6 a.m. on December 10th, 2004. Members of the Little Elm Police Department file into their squad room for their morning briefing. Everyone, that is, except for Wayne Irby.
He had not shown up for his shift as a police officer.
And he hadn't come in. And so, they called, he didn't answer. And that was, well, first of all, it wasn't normal behavior.
Irby? Have I seen Irby? When he comes in, let me know.
An hour passes, then two. Wayne is still a no-show for work.
Very unusual for him. If he wasn't going to be there for sickness or whatever reason, he always told them. And so I think that heightened their concern.
He was always at work, there early, ready to go.
It's uncommon, almost unheard of, for an officer to not show up on duty when it's his turn. And so everyone knew early on that something was just not right. The chief had made contact with a friend in the FBI. If the chief has gone to that extent, he believes something's very wrong as well.
What no one on the police force realizes is that Officer Wayne Irby isn't the only missing person in the town of Little Elm. So is the love of his life. A chance encounter sparked a fiery romance between Denise Miller and police officer Wayne Irby. But despite their undeniable chemistry, the relationship had its fair share of ups and downs.
It was somewhat stormy. They had their problems.
Things had gotten serious, but there was a concern about her jealous tendencies, and there were some underlying issues in their relationship that had to be resolved.
Just when it seems Denise and Wayne patch things up, police in their hometown of Little Elm, Texas, find themselves embroiled in a mystery. It starts on December 10th, 2004, when Wayne failed to report to duty for his 6 a.m. shift.
Wayne was not somebody that was late. And so when he did not show up as he was scheduled, didn't come to briefing, didn't call anybody, people began to worry.
That just didn't make any sense. Wayne always checked his phone. He always played his messages.
Walker, you heard from Irby?
Yeah, I've never from him.
All right, call and get a hold of him. Find out what's going on.
I will.
Hey, let me know.
I'll let you know right away.
All right, be careful.
There were a number of theories that people were conjuring up to explain this odd behavior. Maybe he had overslept. Maybe his phone was broken.
But as the hours roll by, Wayne's friends on the force grow increasingly concerned, particularly Cynthia Medrano.
I went into the chief's office and I said, something's wrong. He's not calling me back. And for a while they kept saying, oh, he'll call. And I said, no, you don't understand. Something's wrong.
Hey, Cynthia, what can I do for you?
I haven't heard from Wayne at all, and I'm really worried.
Tell you what, I'll have a couple officers swing by and do a welfare check, okay?
Thank you.
Just before noon, Police Chief Waylon Rhodes dispatches officers to conduct a welfare check at the house Wayne shares with Denise and her children.
And we had officers go by Denise's home. We knocked and nobody answered.
There were no vehicles in the driveway. The doors were locked, front and back door, and the blinds were down so that you couldn't peer inside the home.
Now unable to locate either Wayne or Denise, police shoot for the next best thing.
We went to the high school and talked to the kids, Denise's kids.
I'd like to ask you a few questions if that's okay.
That's fine.
I started asking them questions. Where's Mom? Have you seen Irby? And their responses didn't make a lot of sense.
According to Denise's children, they hadn't seen their mom or Wayne in nearly 24 hours.
They had said she had not come home that night and didn't know where she was.
Denise's daughter, Whitney, also recounts a disturbing phone call she'd received around midnight.
She was like, I'm running errands, and then she said, I love you.
Is that unusual?
She doesn't usually talk like that.
She doesn't.
She said that they could get themselves ready for school in the morning. Her kids were old enough and certainly mature enough to take care of themselves, and it's exactly what they did.
Whitney states that before heading off to school that morning, she tried to call her mother one more time.
She wasn't answering her cell phone. They couldn't find their mom. She was missing.
It's one of those situations where something ain't right.
Whitney says this seemed completely out of character for their mother. For police, it's a startling turn of events. They've got not one, but two missing persons.
Deep down, I think everybody knew something was very wrong.
Nobody is more concerned for Wayne Irby's safety than his partner on the force, Jerry Walker. After searching the streets of Little Elm for hours, Walker and another officer, James Wynn, decide to check out the rental home Wayne vacated when he moved back in with Denise. They obtain a key from the landlord and prepare to enter the home.
Wayne? Wayne? Dining room clear.
In the kitchen, officers make an ominous discovery.
He and I both observed Wayne's fanny pack that he carried with him often and his cell phone. That explained why the phone calls weren't being answered. And that was a sign immediately that this was not good.
Living room clear.
Moments later, Officer James Wynn turns the corner down a hallway and sees something that stops him dead in his tracks.
James Wynn sliced around the corner and took a gasp of breath. And he stopped and backed up, and he looked at me and said,
"Don't come any closer.
Just stop right where you're at." James knew that Wayne and I were pretty close friends, and I think in a way was trying to protect me from seeing something extremely gruesome.
But at this point, Detective Walker has come too far not to press forward.
Wayne Irby was lying on the ground. There was what looked like an injury to the back of his head.
There was no sign of any fight or any violence at all.
It seems the search for Wayne Irby has just taken a turn from the mysterious to the macabre.
Officer down, 47, supervisor, major crimes.
But where is Denise? It's a question that will soon be magnified by another troubling discovery. The hunt for missing police officer Wayne Irby and his longtime girlfriend Denise Miller has just taken a dark and bloody turn. Police have found Wayne inside a rental home in Little Elm, Texas, the victim of an apparent gunshot wound.
One of the officers that found Irby was a very close friend of his. He was almost in a daze.
It was very sullen moment. This was the first murder of my career, and it happened to be my partner.
I was at work when I got the call. It was devastating.
Everybody was shocked, and it was one of our own and had been murdered,
Given that Denise had failed to return home the previous evening, officers fear for her safety as well, but they find no sign of Denise anywhere inside Wayne's home.
It didn't take more than 40 seconds to finish up checking the rest of the rooms, and she wasn't there.
Officers radio for backup. Within minutes, investigators from both the Denton County Sheriff's Office and the Texas Rangers begin the grim task of processing the scene.
He was shot one single time, right almost dead center in the back of the head.
The location of the wounds suggests Officer Irby never saw the kill shot coming.
He was found face down, and it appeared that he was installing a thermostat. And there were some tools there, and it looked like he was putting on this new one.
Yeah, so that would place the shooter about here.
Was it possible Wayne had been ambushed? If so, by whom? Given Wayne's passion for police work, one possible theory is that the shooting could be work-related.
In police work, you're not going to always make everybody happy. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off.
When you put on a uniform, there are lots of folks that don't like you at some point. He was one of those that he was pretty strict out there, and he'd give his own mother a ticket.
However, Wayne's partner, Jerry Walker, finds it difficult to believe Wayne's murder is related to the job.
He's just a very personable guy. Easy to talk to, always smiling. You know, there's no way he could have had any enemies out there.
But if the crime isn't work-related, then what sparked this fatal encounter? Given the timing of Denise's disappearance, detectives can't help but wonder if she could be involved.
She was not there, and Wayne's handguns were not there either. We didn't know where she had gone.
But to those who know Denise and Wayne best, this theory seems equally implausible.
I don't think anybody thought that she was capable of doing something like this.
I didn't see that side of Denise. I thought she was a very caring young lady.
Still, Denise's sudden disappearance does raise a number of troubling questions, not the least of which is the fear that she may be a victim as well.
We put out an all-points bulletin for Denise Miller with her description and vehicle description that we knew of, and then just hope to hear something soon.
While patrol officers search for Denise, detectives begin the process of interviewing friends and colleagues, and quickly realize Wayne and Denise have had their ups and downs.
So how long did you know Miss Miller?
We've known each other a couple of years. We've been really close.
The roots of the couple's problems always centered on one thing, Denise's suspicions that Wayne was cheating on her.
He was really friendly, though, so that might have been just a natural response. He was really friendly, really charming.
There was a constant thought that he was doing something outside of their relationship that he shouldn't be.
She would get upset, if he talked to other girls. She was jealous because Wayne had a lot of female friends and Wayne flirted.
She was always accusing him of messing with other women. She never trusted him.
In speaking to the couple's friends, investigators can't help but wonder if there's some truth to the rumors of Wayne's infidelity.
It could have been something, it could have been nothing, but sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire.
But if the allegations are true, it opens up a whole Pandora's box of possible suspects.
Can you think of anybody that may have done this to him?
No, not at all. Not at all. He was a great guy. Very sweet, very charming.
It could be one of them other female friends that he was talking to that he cut ties with. If I can't have him, you can't, and then I'm going to end your life too.
With the case getting more twisted and more scandalous by the minute, police decide to search Denise's home in Little Elm.
We go through and we start looking and we don't see any signs of anything.
But in the master bedroom, investigators find a startling piece of evidence.
They found a note. It was a handwritten note, seemed to be coming from Denise.
It says, I got tired of hurting, tired of letting other people hurt me. Please pray for my soul.
The letter, I think, was indicative of someone who was contemplating suicide, if you read between the lines.
But the note isn't the only discovery that gives investigators cause for alarm.
Here's his duty belt. When they were searching the house, his uniforms are hung in the closet. His duty belt is hanging on the wall, and the holster was empty.
Did you find his gun? No, sir, I haven't. We need to find that thing.
Between the missing weapon and the possible suicide note, it seems a new theory about Wayne's death is beginning to emerge.
The police are never, ever going to rule out any other possibilities, but everything in this case pointed towards Denise.
But is Denise truly responsible for Wayne's death, or are other more sinister factors at play? While police are still uncertain, one thing is clear. They need to find Denise Miller, and they need to find her fast. December 10th, 2004, investigators in Little Elm, Texas have discovered missing police officer Wayne Irby gunned down inside his former rental home. At first, detectives feared Wayne's girlfriend Denise might also be a victim. However, a bizarre note found inside the home they shared, coupled with a missing handgun, have detectives wondering if Denise might have killed Wayne, then turned the gun on herself.
They found a note inside Denise Miller's house. It was a disturbing note saying, I'm tired of hurting. I don't want to hurt anymore. It was kind of a desperate plea.
If Denise has taken her own life, it's imperative detectives find her body.
What strikes me about the note is I don't know why she left a suicide note at his house, but then she drives away. Wouldn't you kill yourself there? That baffled me.
But there's a chance the suicide note is just a ruse. And if so, they must consider Denise armed and dangerous.
I was worried about another police officer having an encounter with her, and either A, her harming him, or B, him having to use deadly force against her. So everyone was very aware of the situation.
As their search for Denise intensifies, investigators must decipher what Denise meant by her troubling letter. Curious if the couple had any prior domestic altercations, detectives decide to dig deeper into Denise and Wayne's relationship and make a shocking discovery in the process.
She had come to the police department to file a complaint against Officer Irby for domestic violence. She had said that he had assaulted her.
According to the affidavit from December 2003, it started when Denise showed up unannounced at Wayne's rental home and discovered Wayne with another woman.
Denise showed up at his house, and the house that he lived in had a window right by the door, and you could see the female's purse on the table. And Denise kept knocking on the door. He was not going to open the door because he knew there would be trouble.
But Denise wouldn't stop knocking. Eventually, Wayne opened the door.
That's when all hell broke loose.
Who is that woman?
Look, Denise, she's just a friend of mine.
Wayne, what is she doing here?
We're just having a cup of coffee, that's it.
The report asserts that the couple started arguing, and the encounter quickly turned physical.
I think she felt like, I need to report this, I want to report this.
Every time I turn around, you're doing the same thing.
According to the incident report, both Denise and Wayne suffered physical injuries, but it seems Wayne got the worst of it.
He had scratches all over his face. He had a big black eye.
Pursuant to the report, Wayne claimed Denise had been the aggressor and that he'd simply tried to defuse the situation.
She went nuts. She started smacking him and hitting him and punching him. She broke his glasses. He ended up having to body slam her to keep her calm.
When Wayne's female friend corroborated his version of the incident, Denise withdrew her complaint.
She came in, I think, the next day and said she had made it up. It didn't really happen. They talked to Wayne, and he said that she had come at him, and he was really trying to defend himself, and he had injuries too.
I think it was a heat of the moment situation, and they were arguing or fighting or something. She got mad, and she was going to take her pound of flesh, and it didn't matter to her what happened.
And according to several of Wayne's friends, after the incident, Denise's behavior grew increasingly erratic.
He and I were working a traffic crash, and we were out on the road for a long time. And when he got back in the car, he just shook his head and showed me his cell phone with many, many missed calls, and they were all from Denise Miller.
She became very jealous, very controlling, didn't want him talking to other people, resented the time he spent on the job.
She would go through his phone. She would follow him on traffic stops, just over-possessive. It got to the point where he just, he felt smothered and smelled like, she was just too jealous. He said, I can't take this anymore.
One of Wayne's friends told investigators that the day before his death, Wayne decided to end things with Denise once and for all.
They wasn't getting along as well. And he mentioned to me that he was going to move out. He just wanted out altogether. His mind was made up.
Along with her suicide note, Wayne's decision to leave Denise for good seems to cement her involvement in his murder. As does another chilling bit of evidence CSIs later find at the scene of the crime.
At Wayne Irby's residence, they found on the kitchen island a note, a handwritten note from Denise that said, I'm sorry, I took both of our lives. Please contact our moms.
Basically, it was a confession note that she apologized for what she had done.
So I was just shocked. Didn't want to believe it, This is not happening.
The notes suggest Denise has also taken her own life, but investigators know that finding her is now more important than ever.
I really thought in the back of my head that she had gone somewhere else to commit suicide. But if she's capable of shooting someone she loved, she's more than capable of shooting anyone else.
Thankfully, it doesn't take long for the All Points Bulletin on Denise to pay dividends. And at 4 a.m. on December 11th, police in Little Elm receive a call of a possible suicide attempt at a hotel in nearby Gainesville.
We got a call from Gainesville police. They linked the bulletin that we put out to Denise Miller. She had a gunshot wound to the head.
They found Denise on the floor with the covers off of the bed, obviously in distress. She was seriously injured. The .25 caliber handgun was found on the floor next to her.
Paramedics rushed Denise to an area hospital. In the meantime, investigators combed the room for evidence.
There was alcohol there. There was some over-the-counter sleeping pills.
Investigators also find Wayne's missing .40 caliber service pistol inside the room, along with evidence that explains how Denise's suicide attempt went awry.
They found one of Wayne's handguns. It looked like she'd attempted to load it and tried to load it with the bullet backwards so it wouldn't chamber.
If it's in there backwards, nothing's going to happen. It was either she wasn't familiar with the weapon or she tried to load it after the alcohol and the sleeping pills.
When Wayne's service weapon jammed, it appeared Denise had tried to end her life using the next best thing, a .25 caliber pistol.
She's probably crying the whole way like, oh my God, what have I done? You know, probably remorse has set in.
I think she wanted to forget about what she just did. If she bought the bottle of alcohol and sleeping pills, she just wanted to forget about everything. But then, you know, it was her time to try to end her life too.
But just when it seems like police are starting to put the pieces of this puzzle together, investigators discover a third suicide note, one that suggests that even though she planned to kill herself, Denise hadn't intended to kill the love of her life.
She writes a very lengthy, at least in comparison to the two previous notes, a very lengthy suicide note.
There was a line in the note that alluded to her accidentally shooting Wayne and that she freaked out and just ran.
But was Wayne's death truly an accident? Only one person knew for certain, and she was lying in a hospital bed with a bullet lodged in her brain. And the story she'd tell police would throw the entire case into an upheaval.
Denise, can you tell me what happened in Little Elm last night?
Yeah, okay.
You know Wayne's hurt, right?
I don't think so.
Depending on where she was shot in her head, it could just cause a lot of things. It can cause amnesia, you know, temporary memory loss. She's not clearly in her right mind.
On December 11th, 2004, just 12 hours after her longtime lover Wayne Irby was found shot to death, Denise Miller put a .25 caliber handgun to her head and pulled the trigger. Detectives have also found a series of suicide notes that seem to link Denise to Wayne's murder and suggest that if Denise couldn't have Wayne, no one could.
Wayne had made his mind up to end that relationship.
She's not clearly in her right mind because everything is going on in her head. It could have been a psychotic break.
But just when police seemed to have solved the crime, a third and final suicide note found inside Denise's hotel room suggests Wayne's death might not have been intentional.
There was a single line about it was an accident.
Hoping to unravel this mystery before it's too late, investigators race to the hospital where Denise is being treated for the self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Denise Miller shot herself in the head. That trauma affected her brain, her cognitive abilities. It also affected her motor skills.
Despite her injuries, investigators believe Denise is coherent enough to provide a statement.
They're not sure at that point what her prognosis is going to be, whether she's going to make it or not. So I wanted to get as much as a statement as I could from her.
That afternoon, doctors allowed Texas Ranger Tracy Murphy to proceed with the interview.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Placing a recorder by her bedside, Murphy questions Denise about the events leading up to the shooting.
It's tough, and you have a woman here fighting for your life, and you're reading her rights, because if she does live, you want whatever she says to be admissible. I just basically asked simple questions, trying to get as much information as I could.
Denise, can you tell me what happened in Little Elm last night?
Yeah, okay.
You know Wayne's hurt, right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? How come you left a note there telling me what happened to Wayne?
I don't know.
She could talk, but she had very limited recollection at that time of what had gone on. According to her, she was not aware that she had shot herself.
Although clearly reeling from injuries, when pressed for more details, Denise does admit to being in Wayne's house the day of the shooting.
Did you see him at his new house?
Yeah.
What happened there, Denise?
We argued.
About him moving out?
Yeah.
Then what happened?
I left.
When I told her that she had hurt Wayne, she said she hadn't. And then when I told her, I said, look, Wayne's dead, her basic response was, no, he's not.
It seemed suspicious to us that she could remember things from before, she could remember things from after, but somehow the part about killing Wayne Irby was gone.
Is Denise in denial? Or is there another possible explanation for her sudden memory loss?
She's got a combination of drugs and alcohol in her system, don't know how much, and she shot herself. So all that combined would certainly, you can kind of understand why she's completely disoriented.
The brain is a powerful thing. It's a powerful mechanism. It will shut down to protect you. Me personally, I've had a head injury, and I can't tell you certain things that happened. I can tell you what other people have told me, and I can remember certain incidents, but the actual time that it happened, I couldn't tell you.
After being questioned, Denise is sedated and flown to a nearby trauma center for additional treatment. When she wakes the following morning, her memory loss seems to have gotten worse. She's also now paralyzed on one side of her body and blind in one eye.
The nurse stated that when she told Denise that Wayne had been killed and that she had shot herself, that she seemed genuinely shocked.
It was very convenient for her not to have to remember what she did. But the fact of the matter was she killed a human being.
It was frustrating to a lot of officers, yeah. Because everyone really wonders, is she just faking it?
On December 13th, police received the results of Wayne's autopsy report. The official cause of death is trauma caused by a single .25 caliber bullet to the back of the head. Ballistics revealed the bullet was fired from the exact same weapon Denise used in her botched suicide attempt. Running the weapon's serial number, police learned the gun is registered to Denise's stepfather. So how did it end up in Wayne's rental home? To investigators, the answer seems obvious.
I think she took that gun with her there to give him an ultimatum that she wanted him back. And if the answer was no, I think she intended to use it.
She's going over to a situation that she knows is volatile, or at least not good, and takes a gun with her. This was not an accident.
On January 18th, 2005, police charged Denise Miller with first-degree murder. News of her arrest leaves friends and a community stunned.
The community was completely shocked, completely floored. They weren't used to violent crimes.
People were numb, couldn't believe what happened.
I was just still in shock, disbelief.
I think everyone, or at least the people that were close to Wayne and knew Denise, didn't see it coming.
After 18 months of rehab and physical therapy, Denise is declared competent to stand trial. On July 10, 2006, at the Denton County Courthouse, the state of Texas versus Denise Miller gets underway. While the victim's friends and family are desperate to see justice served, Denise's supporters believe she's already paid a steep price for her own actions.
She was in a wheelchair. She was a very frail and weakened condition.
In their opening arguments, prosecutors urged jurors not to be swayed by Denise's frail appearance.
The prosecution said she looks like this, she acts like this, she's in this wheelchair because of something she did to herself.
I was afraid that they were going to look at that and think that maybe she'd been punished enough and was going to let her go. That was a very good possibility. Well, they asked the jury, and rightfully so, don't feel sorry for her. She put herself there.
Describing Denise as a jealous lover hell-bent on controlling her man, prosecutors assert that on December 9, 2004, Denise drove to Wayne's rental home armed with her stepfather's .25 caliber handgun. An argument allegedly ensued, and Wayne told Denise that the relationship was over once and for all.
I just can't do this anymore. I was never cheating on you. I've been there for you guys. I love the kids. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired.
Wayne, no, I need you. The kids need you. We need you, Wayne. It's not over between us.
That's when, according to prosecutors, Denise took aim and fired.
Denise came to the house. She brought her .25 caliber handgun with her. There appears to have been an argument. Either Wayne was done arguing or he saw the gun. One reason or another, he turned his back on her and he was shot.
They called it the classic case of, if I can't have you, nobody else can.
To bolster their case, prosecutors introduced Denise's 3 suicide notes as evidence.
It's a confession. Those notes were confessions.
Although defense attorneys don't dispute Denise had shot Wayne, They argue the officer's death had been a tragic accident.
She did go into a volatile situation. She did have a gun with her, but she didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
And the proof, they claim, were Denise's own words in the moments before she shot herself.
They pointed to the note that said, I didn't mean to do it. I freaked out and I ran.
When people are writing their last note, their last words, their dying declaration, it's usually pretty credible. You can usually take it at face value.
She said it was an accident. And it was.
But in Cross, prosecutors urged jurors to judge the body of that work and not one line possibly taken out of context.
There was a single line about it was an accident, but it was surrounded by a lot of things that indicate it wasn't an accident. Things like, thou shalt not kill, I've done a horrible thing. So it's like she mixes in her guilt with that one line.
Still, defense attorneys argue that if Denise had truly intended to kill Wayne that day, her gun would have been fully loaded and she would have pulled the trigger more than once.
Typically, if you're going in with the intent, the purposeful intent of killing someone, your weapon's fully loaded. It's not kind of a Russian roulette situation. It wasn't fully loaded when he was shot.
It appears Denise's defense team has at least raised the possibility that Wayne's death was an accident. But prosecutors still have one piece of evidence at their disposal, evidence that has the potential to make or break the entire case. Charged with the murder of her boyfriend Wayne Irby, Denise Miller now found herself on trial for a crime she claims to have no memory of committing.
She shot herself in the head. She was in a wheelchair. She had very limited mobility, and she had no recollection of the events whatsoever.
Her defense attorney said it was like an episode of The Twilight Zone. She has the knowledge of Wayne's murder, but not the memory of it.
Defense attorneys have asserted Wayne's death had been a tragic accident. Prosecutors have argued otherwise.
If this was truly an accident, wouldn't you call for help? Wouldn't you call for an ambulance? Miss Miller chose not to do any of these things.
And to bolster their claim that the crime was premeditated, that Denise couldn't have accidentally shot Wayne, they submit findings from the state crime lab into evidence.
We had the trigger of this gun tested, and it takes 4.5 to 5 pounds of pressure just to pull the trigger on this gun. That negates that, she just accidentally touched it and it went off.
Especially with her size and strength, she would have really had to give it effort to pull that trigger.
Even more telling is the location of Wayne's injuries and Denise's own actions in the aftermath of the shooting.
Shot in the back of the head. What are the chances of accidentally being shot in the back of the head?
If it was truly an accident, the first thing you're going to do is call for an ambulance, call for help. She didn't do that. Instead, she took his gun, wrote a note confessing, and fled.
I think she knew what she was doing. I think during the time she was just jealous. And, emotions kicked in and it happened. She shoots Wayne, she shoots herself. I never in my wildest dream would think something like this would happen.
But could a jury really convict Denise of a crime she had no recollection of committing?
That was a huge part of the defense, was the mitigation factors of what she's done to herself. It's a roll of the dice, whether or not the jury's going to have any empathy or sympathy for her, or if they're going to say, you got what you deserved.
It wouldn't take them long to find out. After less than an hour of deliberation, on July 12, 2006, the jury returns with their verdict. Guilty.
Denise was found guilty.
Denise was in a wheelchair and she was very quiet. And when the verdict came back, she cried.
While the verdict surprises few in the courtroom, a bigger question still looms. Would jurors take sympathy on the already crippled woman and forego the death penalty?
We were concerned about the sympathy factor. They can look at her and think, oh, she suffered enough. She felt so bad about what she did. She tried to kill herself. And now look at her. She's in a wheelchair. She's, disabled for the rest of her life. She's been punished enough.
The following morning at Denise's sentencing hearing, it appears jurors are in a forgiving mood. Denise is spared the death penalty. Instead, she's sentenced to 62 years in prison.
She wasn't a hardened criminal. She certainly wasn't any kind of threat. A 62-year sentence, it's equivalent to a life sentence, but it's not that word.
I think she should have gotten the death penalty myself.
Her 2 kids lost a mother. You know, their every family lost a son. So everybody lost in the situation. There wasn't a win in the situation at all. I was angry that the situation occurred the way it did. I wish if it came to the point and she couldn't get along with him and she didn't trust him, just leave him. But not to take his life.
She was in love with Wayne Irby. She wanted her relationship to survive and last and to live the happy little fairy tale romance, and that didn't play out. And then to come to find out that you're the cause of so much pain and his death, but you don't have any memory of it, that's very difficult to process and conceive.
She was a beautiful college co-ed, ready to conquer the world.
She was a bright and shining star.
He was a slightly older man who promised to fulfill her every desire.
He was somewhat of a father figure and also a boyfriend.
Their bond seemed to be solid as a rock, until a shocking disappearance shattered their picture-perfect romance.
She just disappeared into thin air.
Friends and family launch a desperate search to uncover the truth.
Just let me know where she is. I wasn't gonna stop until either we found her or found out what happened to her.
The hunt turned into a real sordid chapter.
A chapter that was dripping with jealousy, intrigue, and in the end, an unspeakable evil.
I knew for a fact I was having a meeting with the devil. It sent a chill through me.
This son of a bitch was playing games with the family. He knew what had happened.
This isn't happening. This is not happening.
Wednesday, March 21st, 2007, 5:30 p.m. Investigator Sidney Miller and his partner are driving down a highway north of Houston, Texas. A pair of passengers in the back seat are giving them directions to the possible location of a missing 19-year-old woman who disappeared 6 days prior.
She had actually been missing since March the 15th of 2007.
On the passenger's instructions, the detectives exit the highway and pull into an apartment complex.
He directed us to the back of the complex, to this parking lot, where he pointed out this dumpster.
Fearing the worst, Investigator Miller and his partner peer inside, but the dumpster is empty.
You sure this is it? There was no obvious human remains that I could see at that point. Nothing obvious that a body was there.
Was this some kind of sick joke, or another dead end in an ever more troubling case?
We didn't know where she was. At that point, we didn't know what happened to her.
To unlock the mystery of this missing woman, detectives will follow a twisted path of lust and betrayal, lovers and lies, all of which leads to a young woman whose bright future was snuffed out in the darkest way imaginable. Early on, Tynesha Stewart's family knew there was something special about her.
My family just knew that Tynesha was gonna stand out and accomplish so much. It showed at a very young age.
But Tynesha was no stranger to hard times. One of 6 children, Tynesha grew up in one of Houston's toughest neighborhoods and lost her father at a very young age. Still, Tynesha refused to let her environment dictate her future.
She was really good in school. She really studied her books. She took that very serious.
Blessed with natural beauty and an infectious smile, Tynesha had no problem attracting boys.
Tynesha always had multiple guys wanting to date her.
But Tynesha wanted more from love than what the average guy could offer.
Tynesha was more attracted to someone that could challenge her.
In May 2005, while working at a pizza restaurant, the stunning 17-year-old met a man that fit the bill. Handsome coworker Tim Shepard.
What's up? How you doing?
How about you?
I'm good.
Really?
That's how you feel. Smelling good. So what's up? We still on for this weekend?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You promise.
I gotta study.
Oh, you gonna act funny now?
Tim would keep asking her to go out on dates. Eventually, she just gave in and said, okay, I'll try it.
And do a little dancing. It's gonna be a good time.
Okay.
It went from them just being friends or co-workers to them actually developing an intimate relationship with each other.
Bye. Right. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's gonna become my favorite show.
Although Tim was 25, neither he nor Tynesha let their 8-year age gap stand in the way of their budding romance.
All she really wanted was to be loved. She lost her father at a very young age. And Timothy filled a gap for her.
Tim and Tynesha's relationship progressed pretty swiftly. It just became really serious.
She would be with him. If she wasn't home, certain nights of the week, she would stay with him at his place.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, because I'm here.
Yes, because you're here.
But just as this steamy relationship reached a boiling point, Tynesha's family turned down the heat.
So a phone call is more important than me?
Hey, Mom. Yeah, it's Tim. Don't do that. Mom, don't do that. Like, come on, really?
We want to know what his motives were. He could have picked any other woman that was his age to date. So my brother and them kind of had me thinking the same thing. Why is he dating such a young girl?
I don't know.
It'd be fine. Look, just do a little in-house visit. I'll smooth everything out.
Really?
Yeah. Had it in the wrong place, I think.
So it's something simple.
I think you just gotta plug this plug in. Yeah.
In order to prove how much he loved Tynesha, Tim began spending time with her family. It didn't take long for Tim to win them over.
There you have it. Yes! Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
He was always around at my mom's house.
Just press this button right here. Yeah, just press the top button, it should come right on. All right.
Trying to fix their TV, trying to fix their computers. I mean, he pretty much won my mom and my stepdad over.
Going right. Let's get down.
You know, I try to do what I can.
Thank you, Tim.
Oh, you're welcome.
They embraced him as another son. Her mom embraced him. Her sister, her brother embraced him as like another brother.
But just when it seemed like the young couple couldn't get any closer, some good news took Tynesha's life in a different direction.
Tynesha earned a scholarship to Texas A&M University.
I was so happy for her. It was a big accomplishment.
Even though the A&M campus is nearly 2 hours from Tynesha's home in Houston, Tynesha was determined to keep her relationship with Tim alive. But just 3 months into her first semester in college, Tim reignited a relationship with an old girlfriend and subsequently dumped Tynesha.
I remember Tynesha just bawling, crying, stating that she couldn't believe that her and Tim had broken up. It really took a toll on her.
But no sooner had Tim broken up with Tynesha than he realized he'd made a terrible mistake.
He decided to go down to Texas A&M and surprise her, and from there they were able to talk and discuss whatever issues they were having, and from there they started back dating.
But this time around, something seemed different.
I'm not sure if they had fully broken up, but I was aware that they were having some issues.
They just weren't seeing eye to eye, and Tynesha was on a different level than she was from when they initially met. She became even more independent.
She was meeting new people and trying new things out on her own. Tynesha's goal was to move forward in life.
When Tynesha returned home for spring break, she saw Tim briefly, but spent most of her time hanging out with friends.
What you going to the concert with?
They're my girlfriends.
Okay. I'm gonna see you afterwards.
Well, we're trying to go eat afterward.
So I have to set up appointments to see my girlfriend now?
No, it's not like that. I just want to have some friends, you know.
Okay.
I heard Tynesha was coming home for spring break, and I briefly talked to her. She told me that her and a couple of her friends were going to see Beyonce in concert.
But a few days before the concert, Tynesha's sister Gayla had a nightmare.
I had a bad dream that some jealous girls jumped on her and beat her, and we couldn't find her body. Tynesha was like, oh, calm down. You go with one of your dreams again. I'm fine. This one is not going to be true. I promise you that I'm going to be okay.
Sadly, Gayla's nightmare would hit closer to home than anyone in Tynesha's family could have ever imagined. Sunday, March 18th, 2007. As Gayla returns home from church, she receives a disturbing phone call from her mother.
Hello?
Gayla?
Hey,
you
Mom.
talked to Tynesha?
No, not since Thursday. Why?
Oh my goodness, nobody's heard from her.
What do you mean nobody's heard from her?
She was supposed to go to the Beyonce concert. I knew that. And then she
Right.
didn't show up.
She never made it to the concert?
No.
Oh my God, Mom.
She said, Tynesha, I didn't make it to the Beyonce concert, and nobody's heard from her. My heart had dropped because I knew and I felt it in my spirit, in my soul, that something was wrong.
Tynesha's friends echo those sentiments. 36 hours pass, and there's still no sign of Tanisha.
I'm terrified because I don't know what's going on at all. It does not make sense to me.
Why is this going on? Why is this happening to us at such a great time in our lives?
Police would soon be asking the same questions, but nobody could anticipate the horrific answers they would uncover, or what hidden desires burned in the heart of a missing young woman. For 2 years, Tim Shepard and Tynesha Stewart had a love that knew no bounds.
When she finally decided to start dating him, she cut off, anybody else at the time.
However, when Tynesha moved away to college in the fall of 2006, her and Tim's once unbreakable bond began showing a few cracks.
It was on and off, but she still would come back and visit with Tim. And I believe Tynesha was still in love with him.
But in March 2007, their world turns upside down when Tynesha returns home for spring break and inexplicably disappears. Several days pass, and there's still no sign of Tanisha.
We went around to some hospitals. We even called the jail, just trying to cover all bases, trying to call all of her friends, and no one had heard from her.
Gayla Taylor also reaches out to her sister's boyfriend, Tim Shepard. But like everyone else, Tim has no clue what happened to Tanisha.
Hello?
Tim, hey, this is Gayla.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on? Mom just called me saying that Tanisha's missing.
Well, hold on. Missing? What do you mean missing?
Yeah, she's missing. She's not answering her phone. I mean, when is the last time you talked to her?
According to Tim, the last he spoke with Tanisha was 3 days prior, on Thursday morning.
It was like she came over to the house with me, but she left, and that was the last time I heard her or seen her.
Nobody's talked to her since then?
No, it's not like Tanisha to just leave and not answer her phone and not call anybody and not check in.
Fearing the worst, Tanisha's family files a missing persons report Monday, March 19th. Once investigators realized Tim was one of the last people to see Tanisha, they asked him to come down to the station.
The deputy made contact with Shepard and just told him that, hey, we were looking for Tanisha. She's been reported missing. He was asked to give a statement, and he agreed to do that.
So, Mr. Shepard, can you tell me the last time you talked to Tanisha?
A couple of days ago, Thursday.
His story was that he picked Tanisha up that Thursday morning around 3 o'clock in the morning.
So you was driving back to your apartment Thursday. Did y'all talk about anything?
Tried to. She got a phone call from, some guy.
The caller was Tanisha's college friend, Mark Marks, who she'd hung out with earlier that night.
She told the person that, hey, I'm busy or I can't talk.
This upset Timothy. When they get back to the apartment, Timothy confronts Tanisha about why is he calling you so early in the morning. And Tanisha says, I don't want to talk about it, and we can talk about it when we wake up.
I mean, we've kind of having relationship problems, so I was just trying to smooth things out and got to the apartment. She just went in the room. She didn't want to mention anything about it. So I kind of suspected she was cheating on me a little.
Tim tells investigators that despite his misgivings, he agreed to table the issue as Tanisha requested. But when they woke up a few hours later, Tim confronted Tanisha about the phone call with Mark Marks. Again, she stonewalled him.
Ty, we need to talk about this.
Talk about what?
About what? This whole situation.
What whole situation? There's nothing to talk about.
Once they get up, he confronts her about why Mr. Marks called her so early in the morning. Tanisha says, I don't want to talk about it. I'm tired of talking about it.
There's nothing to talk about?
No, it's not.
Okay, what about Mark then?
We're not talking about Mark. Like, I'm not talking
Okay,
this.
well...
Like, really? I came home to have fun. I'm not doing this.
Are you serious?
Bye.
According to Tim, Tanisha then stormed out of his apartment.
She left the apartment and left walking on her own that day. And that was the last time he says that he saw her.
Tim, are you being honest with us?
Yes, I'm being honest.
And you don't have any idea where she is?
I have no idea. I love Tanisha.
They questioned him for, I think they said 20 hours, something like that.
While Tim never wavers from his account, police are curious if his apartment might tell another story.
When Shepard gave his statement, he also gave us written consent, voluntary consent to search his apartment.
But a search of Tim's apartment fails to turn up any evidence related to Tanisha's disappearance.
We didn't have any strong suspicion that he had done anything illegal or criminal in nature, so we gave him the key back to his apartment and we continued our investigation.
With Tim all but eliminated as a suspect, detectives set their sights on another man, Mark Marks.
He was one of the last two people to be around Tynesha. So quite naturally, Mark Marks was a person that law enforcement wanted to speak with.
Had Tynesha been seeing Mark Marks on the side? If so, could Mark be involved in Tynesha's disappearance? Hoping to answer these questions, detectives reach out to one of Tynesha's closest friends, Ashley Walton, and make a shocking discovery.
I want to thank you for coming down here and taking your time out of your busy schedule to talk with us.
Of course.
Just got a few questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Ever heard of a Mark Marks?
Of course I have. I mean, I set him and Tanisha up. He's a friend of my boyfriend. Him and Tanisha were together for maybe a month or so. They're crazy about each other. They stay on the phone constantly.
She had told her roommates that she was really crazy about this guy.
They hit it off. But at the time, Tynesha was still dating Timothy.
Now, let me ask you this. Did Mark know about Tim?
Yes, he did. He didn't really like the fact that he had shared Tanisha with anybody. I mean, who would like that kind of idea?
Well, then why didn't she break it off with Tim?
I mean, it's hard, you know, when you love someone, because she did love Tim.
Like I said, I appreciate you coming down here to talk with us.
The interview with Ashley is a revelation, and police can't help but wonder, could Tynesha's ongoing relationship with Tim have triggered some sort of jealous rage in boyfriend number 2, Mark Marks? Determined to unravel this mystery, detectives track Mark Marks down and bring him in for questioning on Wednesday, March 21st.
What's the nature of your relationship with Tanisha?
Or dating? Mark was a typical 19-year-old kid. I mean, couple of tattoos, sharp, articulate. He was cooperative.
Did you know she was dating Tim Shepard as well?
Yeah, sure, she told me.
So how did that make you feel?
Well, I didn't like it.
Yeah, I bet you didn't.
Turning up the heat, detectives press Mark for answers.
So when was the last time you saw her?
It was last Thursday.
He indicated that he had last seen her earlier Thursday. She was at some other friend's house at the time, but he had left her at the apartment.
What time was that?
I don't know, like 3 a.m.
Did you talk about your relationship that evening?
Yeah, sure. We talked about a lot. I mean, she told me that she was ready to leave Tim, that she and I were going to be together. She didn't want to hurt his feelings, but that she was ready to move on.
So she did say she was going to leave?
Yes.
Tynesha told him that she still loved Tim, but that she was ready to move on. And that was the last time he saw her.
Detectives are suspicious. Mark's statement places him with Tynesha shortly before Tim picked her up. Is it possible seeing Tynesha with Tim sent Mark into a jealous rage, and that Mark waited until she left Tim's apartment a few hours later to exact his revenge?
Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No, not at all.
Did you pick her up from Tim's apartment?
Absolutely not.
Mark Marks is adamant he had nothing to do with Tynesha's disappearance. He also claims to have a rock-solid alibi. He was at a party with friends on nearby South Padre Island at the time Tynesha vanished.
So you have no idea what happened to her?
No, not at all. I love Tanisha. She was all I cared about. I would never do anything to hurt her.
Detectives confirm Mark's alibi and let him go.
He was as innocent as they come. It showed that it really shook him when he learned that Tynesha was missing.
With their top 2 suspects in the clear, detectives begin looking elsewhere. That's when a frightening theory surfaces. The possibility that Tynesha might have been abducted by a stranger after leaving Tim Shepard's apartment on foot.
We had to broaden our picture and start looking at all the other angles or possibilities that she could have come up missing. They checked the local areas for known sex offender, and there was nobody that came to mind or raised a red flag that we need to be looking into.
That week was total chaos. It felt like a nightmare.
1 week into the investigation, fear continues to mount, and with each passing day, the chances of finding Tynesha become slimmer and slimmer.
The first 24 to 48 hours are the most crucial time when someone is kidnapped or comes up missing. And after that 48-hour period, they're either dead or gone.
But as detectives dig deeper into Tynesha's case, They uncover a series of shocking yet seemingly unrelated clues. The question is, can they connect the dots before it's too late? Ever since 19-year-old Tynesha Stewart started college, her romance with boyfriend Tim Shepard had been a bit of a roller coaster ride.
They did love each other, but it was not a smooth relationship.
Tim hoped to work out the kinks in the relationship when Tynesha returned home over spring break. But shortly after arriving, Tynesha vanished without a trace.
Nothing was making sense because we couldn't find her.
Although investigators have put both Tim and Tynesha's new love interest, Mark Marks, through intense interrogations, they're still no closer to finding her. And now they're faced with a far more chilling prospect, that Tynesha may have been abducted by a stranger after leaving Tim's apartment on foot.
We were looking at the whole picture, whether somebody picked her up in a car and took her off or somebody, grabbed inside one of the apartments.
Police combed the area surrounding the apartments where Tim lives.
He lived in the back of his apartments, and his apartment was down a dark road full of trees and woods.
It could be plausible that some harm would have fallen to a single young woman walking along down that road. It's possible. Stuff like that has happened. It's right near Interstate 45, which is like all the strip clubs and whatnot are up there. And that area has become known for human trafficking.
You have to look at all of that. And that's what we started doing.
While officers are searching the area for clues, back at headquarters, a tip rolls in. A woman who lives in the area recalls hearing something very suspicious around the time Tynesha disappeared.
Dispatch, do you have a K-9 unit in service? Okay, happen to meet us at 675 Cumberland. We're on the way. I just talked to a neighbor. She heard gunshots coming from the wood lines the night of Tynesha's disappearance. Said she heard the car speed off. I got K-9 units on the way.
When the K-9 unit arrives, they immediately notice the faint smell of death in the air.
Smell that? Yeah, let's go see what we can find.
All right, let's go.
Inside my head, I just knew that somewhere around there we were going to find her body.
Locking onto the scent, the K-9 officer leads investigators deeper into the woods. Minutes later, they finally locate the source of the smell.
What you got, bud?
The rotting remains of a dead animal.
That's not what we're looking for.
Yeah, not a bad thing, though.
All right.
While friends and family breathe a sigh of relief, the clock is ticking. Tynesha's sister Gayla decides it's time to join detectives in the search.
I took matters into my own hands. I started calling family, friends, getting my own search party together. They came the next day with a whole bunch of more volunteers.
We knocking on doors, talking to neighbors that may have seen or heard something, that may have seen her walking away.
Despite the additional boots on the ground, nobody recalls seeing Tynesha. But several residents make the same curious observation, that Tim Shepard spent the day after Tynesha's disappearance doing some serious barbecuing.
He had 2 grills going at one point, and they were concerned Timothy was going to burn the place down.
Worried neighbors said they dialed 911 once the smoke got out of control. After police and firemen contained the fire, they turned their attention toward Tim.
What's all the smoke here from today?
I was doing some last-minute grilling.
Tim told first responders he was cooking the main course for an upcoming church picnic.
He said, I'm in charge of this, so that's why I've been cooking, and yeah, I got a little carried away.
How much meat you cooking?
It's for about 150, 200 people. Just throwing meat on the grill. I got a little bit behind, so it's just kind of got chaos.
Just kind of flamed up.
Yeah.
This is a lot of smoke.
It is, man. I had a lot
of food.
The building's
on fire.
Tim's story is confirmed when firemen looked around his apartment.
One of the firemen reported seeing what he thought was ribs in a bathtub that was filled with water, meat.
To detectives, it seems odd that Tim would be more interested in grilling out than helping look for his girlfriend.
If he really loved her, why is he not searching for her?
As detectives ponder that very question, they receive another bizarre report about Tim.
I myself talked to one particular individual who noticed him pouring bleach on his patio, and she said it was so strong that it was burning her eyes.
Was Tim just trying to clean up after his grill session got a bit out of hand? Or was he trying to hide something else?
That led law enforcement to look at him as a potential suspect.
When detectives shine the light of suspicion on Tim, they find something dark lurking just under the surface. But they'll also soon discover it is another man, not Tim, who holds the key to unlocking the mystery behind Tynesha Stewart's disappearance. It's been a week since 19-year-old college freshman Tynesha Stewart vanished without a trace. Although police initially ruled out her longtime boyfriend Tim Shepard as a suspect, recent reports of suspicious behavior have police circling back to him.
Tenants reported Shepard barbecuing for a period of from Friday all the way over the weekend, continuously. A lot of people thought that was strange, which it is.
Perhaps more importantly, neighbors also reported seeing Tim cleaning his patio with an inordinate amount of bleach shortly after Tynesha's disappearance. Could Tim be trying to cover something up? If so, what? Hoping to learn more about Tim and Tynesha's history, detectives reach back out to her friends and family. While no one denies Tim loved Tynesha, they say that the more Tynesha spread her wings at college, the more possessive and domineering Tim became.
He felt like he pretty much owned her.
He would call, harass her, and at times even drove down to Texas A&M, walking the campus trying to find her when she wouldn't return his phone calls.
He was trying to find ways to keep Tynesha in his box.
But despite Tim's increasingly controlling nature, he still held a special place in Tynesha's heart.
She just longed for Timothy to love her, without abuse, without control, without violence.
But when Tim learned about Tynesha's blossoming relationship with college friend Mark Marks, the situation went from bad to worse.
There were some threats that Timothy had made to Tynesha via, cell phone, text messages.
But the threatening messages were just the beginning.
Kayla told us about a time when Tim didn't want her to leave and that Tim had strangled her.
Threatening messages, physical violence, when coupled with the fact that Tim scoured his patio with bleach shortly after Tynesha's disappearance. Investigators are now wondering if perhaps Tim is behind Tynesha's disappearance after all.
We really didn't have anything to nail Shepard on. There was some clues there. There was bleach stains. There was evidence of recent cleaning going on in that apartment. But we didn't have enough at that point to charge him with anything.
Investigators may not have enough evidence to charge Tim Shepard, but Tynesha's family is now convinced he's somehow involved.
I was like, this guy's gonna get away with this if I don't get these people to arrest him. And that's when I decided to call Quanell X.
He is somewhat of an activist for the African American community.
Quanell is an interesting character. He can get things done. He can get people to turn themselves in. He's become pretty famous for it.
I've been the one that black men in this city have come to when they're wanted by police. And I've been able to, by God's grace, facilitate many peaceful surrenders where young men have been able to turn themselves in without anyone being harmed.
In a face-to-face meeting with Quanell X, Tynesha's sister desperately pleads her family's case.
The reason I'm here to talk to you is my sister, Tynesha Stewart, has been missing.
Tynesha Stewart?
Mm-hmm.
And when was the last time you seen her? They were adamant that they knew something had happened to her, and they were extremely terrified and worried of where was their loved one. And I said, listen, I will do anything I possibly can do to help you find your loved one.
Her boyfriend, Tim, is the last one to see her.
Tim Shepard?
Yes, that's him.
Turns out Quanell is already familiar with Tynesha's disappearance. Tim Shepard's family had also called on him to help.
And they were asking me to get involved to help protect him from overzealous cops that were going to pin a dirty charge on him. His family saying he didn't do anything. And I said, but if he did do something, I'll get the truth.
Unsure who to believe, Quanell X calls Tim Shepard, who agrees to a private meeting at his apartment.
Tim?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Quanell.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I'm freaking out, man.
When Quanell arrives, Tim is upset.
You know what I'm saying, brother, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, Tim. And he was extremely stressed.
Is there any place that we can talk?
Just talking in the bathroom. I feel like they have my place wired or something.
Okay, let's go to that.
Okay.
We go into the bathroom. And I said, "Oh, you okay, Tim?" He said he's trying to set me up. And I said, "Tim, if you're innocent, I'll fight for you, brother. But if you're not innocent, brother, we need to talk about this."
Tim nervously recalls the last time he saw Tanisha.
We had a fight and she stormed out. That was the last time I saw her. I swear.
I put my hand on his shoulders. I could feel the stress. The stress and the fear was just permeating through his skin, literally. I said, "Brother, look me in my eye." And he put his head down like that. And then I knew there was more to the story than what he was saying. I said, "Tim, look me in my eye. Tim, did you do something to this girl?" And at that moment, everything changed. Everything.
In the case of missing college freshman Tanisha Stewart, some peculiar behavior, along with a series of eyewitness statements, have catapulted Tanisha's boyfriend Tim Shepard to the top of the suspect list. But without any physical evidence connecting Tim to any crime, bringing charges against him will be impossible. In desperation, Tanisha's family has turned to a well-known community activist named Quanell X for help. And in an emotional face-to-face meeting with Tim, Quanell seems to be on the verge of a breakthrough.
I said, "Tim, is she alive?" And he said to me, "They're going to give me the death penalty." And I said, "Tim, why would they give you the death penalty, man?"
Is she dead?
Tim tells Quanell that when Tanisha refused to elaborate on her relationship with Mark Marks, he flew into a jealous rage.
She was messing with this guy named Mark and...
Did y'all get into a fight?
Yeah.
And what happened?
I just went into a rage and I killed her.
Tim tells Quanell that as Tanisha was walking out the door, he attacked her and ultimately strangled her to death.
And what'd you do with her after that?
Put her body in the dumpster.
My heart was racing. Because now I've gone from trying to help this brother, possibly who's being set up by overzealous investigators, to a man who has now committed a cold-blooded killing.
After hearing Tim's confession, Quanell X relays the statement to investigator Sidney Miller. The two men, along with Miller's partner and a distraught Tim Shepard, then head to a dumpster where Tim allegedly disposed of Tanisha's body.
We're going to be able to give this family some closure, and we're going to be able to put this thing to rest and find out what actually happened.
Believing Tanisha's body is inside the trash bin, investigator Miller calls in a CSI team. But no sooner have they started putting up the yellow tape than Tanisha's family pulls up.
They were quite hysterical. And they were asking, "Please let us talk to Quanell X." They just kept saying, "Is she alive? Is she alive?" And I said, "No." I said, "She's not alive." And they all just broke down in hysterics.
I mean, it's like my heart was ripped out of my chest.
I immediately just lose all feeling in my body. I don't want to accept the fact that she's gone.
But while Tanisha's family mourns their apparent loss, CSIs make a shocking discovery. Tanisha's body isn't in the dumpster, nor for that matter is anything else.
I noticed that the dumpster, it looked like it had been recently emptied. I mean, there wasn't a lot of trash in there at all.
So now where did the dumpster go? Well, there's a landfill. It's massive. It's massive.
It was surreal. Like, this is a bad dream.
Detectives know that in a city the size of Houston, the chances of finding Tanisha's body in a landfill are slim to none.
It's not like they're carefully storing and marking where each load goes. So now you have not a needle in a haystack, but you've got a needle in a stack of haystacks.
After learning that a search of the landfill would cost upwards of $500,000, a tough decision is made.
Tanisha's family talked to the sheriff and said, "Don't waste the money. You're not going to find her. It's just a waste of money."
Making matters even more difficult is the fact that shortly after his arrest, Tim Shepard has a change of heart about his confession.
He had invoked his right to have an attorney, and at that point he didn't want to talk. But based on the information we already had, at that point, we had enough to charge him.
But with Tim's prior confession without Tanisha's body, it will be difficult to make the murder charges stick. Investigators must find more evidence in order to solidify their case. Again, they turn to the CSI team to scour Tim's apartment for additional clues.
We knew that we would be looking for microscopic evidence, so we just made sure we wouldn't leave a stone unturned.
The search pays off.
We found some bone fragments in the garbage disposal, eventually found what we later learned was enamel.
Officer Hunter, I found this next to the grill.
Did you get a photograph of it?
I did.
Let's back that.
CSIs also find some charred bone fragments not far from where Tim kept his grill.
It looked like a burnt piece of meat. It was pretty dark, charred, and it had kind of a crispy texture to it.
The bone fragments are sent to the crime lab. While the charred remains are in too poor a condition to be positively ID'd, the enamel found in the disposal is determined to be from one of Tanisha's teeth.
I think your teeth don't go down a garbage disposal unless someone puts them down there.
Between this new evidence, the accounts of Tim's nonstop barbecuing, and reports from a fireman who saw what he thought was uncooked meat floating in Tim's bathtub, a new, more horrific picture of the crime begins to emerge.
They believe that Tanisha, she had been chopped up and incinerated.
Armed with this gruesome information, a grand jury officially indicts Tim Shepard for the murder of Tanisha Stewart. But as the case heads to trial, prosecutors know they still face an uphill battle.
That was probably the biggest hurdle, is to how did she get to this point when we only have bits and pieces of her left to get the jury to convict just based on the circumstantial evidence alone.
On September 29, 2008, the state of Texas versus Tim Shepard gets underway.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Tim Shepard is responsible for the death of Tanisha Stewart.
I felt a lot of pressure just because I didn't want to let Tanisha's family down, and I didn't want to let Tanisha down.
Prosecutors open by laying out the state's version of the crime. In the morning hours of March 15, 2007, Tim Shepard murdered Tanisha in his Houston apartment. To cover up the crime, Tim hacked Tanisha's body into pieces, then spent days cooking her remains over a grill before tossing them in the dumpster to cover his tracks.
There was sufficient evidence for us to put it before a jury and let them make the determination that she was in fact killed and mutilated in a gruesome manner.
We're going to hold him accountable. It will be up to you to provide justice for Tanisha.
As for a motive, prosecutors claim Tim would have rather seen Tanisha dead than to see her with another man.
She disrespected him because she began to move on with her life, because he felt like he couldn't control her anymore.
Tim's defense team counters that the state's theory is just that, a theory.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, regardless of what the prosecution tells you, there is no evidence.
In this case, there is no body. We felt like without a body, this would be a hurdle for the prosecution.
Tim Shepard loves Tanisha Stewart. He would never do anything to hurt her.
They made very good arguments that we couldn't even prove that she was dead, let alone who did it.
Even so, there was no denying the tooth fragments found inside Tim's disposal did come from Tanisha.
No person that was alive is going to quietly allow someone to extract a tooth or teeth from them and put them in a garbage disposal.
After putting forth physical evidence, prosecutors called their star witness to the stand, Quanell X.
How did you become involved with Mr. Shepard?
I was contacted by his family.
And did you meet with him?
Yes. He was confused and upset.
Did he tell you what happened that night?
After we prayed about it, he decided he wanted to come clean, and he told me exactly. He told me what happened.
Quanell testified where Timothy identified locations where he tossed her body after he mutilated her, and that was gripping testimony.
I asked him if he killed her, and he said yes.
I recall seeing a lot of just faces that looked like they were just, like, wow, like shocked.
Quanell's testimony is riveting, but some in the courtroom question his credibility.
He's a controversial character. He has done time for selling drugs. He has now made a name for himself for standing up for minority rights in the city. And he will champion your cause and get you media attention.
With Quanell X's turn on the witness stand seemingly a push, prosecutors play their last card and call the defendant's own cousin, Nicholas Shepard, to the stand. What Nicholas has to say blows everyone in the courtroom away.
Have you ever seen him display any violence of any nature?
Not so much as I can recall, but he has a temper.
He has a temper?
Yes.
Nicholas testified to the fact that Timothy said he would do harm to Tynesha if it came down to it, and that if he had to kill somebody, he would cut him up and boil him and throw him in a body of water.
I think the jury was a little bit surprised about what they were hearing. You could sense some shock and disbelief.
I felt that we did everything we could to paint the picture that Timothy was responsible for this murder.
But before the final gavel falls, the defense will call a surprise witness to the stand. A witness whose story could crush the prosecution's case. A witness named Tim Shepard. Prosecutors claim that 29-year-old Tim Shepard killed his beautiful young girlfriend, Tynesha Stewart, in order to prevent her from seeing another man. Then Tim gruesomely dismembered, burned, and disposed of Tynesha's remains. Tim's attorneys counter that since police never recovered Tynesha's body, there's no proof a murder was ever committed.
How do we know she's even dead?
But Tim's own cousin, Nicholas Shepard, testifies that Tim confessed he would do just that if Tynesha ever tried to leave him.
He said if she ever left him, he would cut her up, boil her.
Shepard told him that if he killed somebody, he would chop them up and boil them.
The testimony of Nicholas Shepard seems to seal the deal. After 24 hours of deliberation, the jury returns with their verdict.
The jury came back with a guilty verdict of murder, and I was happy for Tynesha's mother and her family and her friends.
I was relieved because I felt like that was finally the end of the emotional roller coaster that we had all experienced within the past year.
But even with the guilty verdict, this roller coaster trial is far from over. In Texas, the official verdict can't be handed down until after the sentencing hearing, and can even be overturned during that phase of the process. And at his sentencing hearing, Tim Shepard makes a bold move and takes the stand in his own defense. Under oath, Tim claims that on the night of the crime, Tynesha was the one who was hungry for blood, and that Tim had killed her purely in self-defense.
Tim tried to make her look like she was a participant in her own death. If she wouldn't have did what she did, then maybe he wouldn't have did what he did.
Tim tells the jury that it started when he confronted Tynesha about her relationship with Mark Marks.
For a long time, I've been suspecting she's been cheating on me. I asked her about this guy named Mark. She tried to get her things and storm out, and I tried to stop her. Sit down, let's just talk about
There's
this.
nothing to talk
It's
about.
a lot to talk about. What about this? Who is this Mark guy? Who is Mark?
No, Mark doesn't matter. Move.
He said that he was blocking the door so that she wouldn't leave because he wanted to work things out.
According to Tim, that's when Tynesha snapped.
She just flipped out.
He says that Tynesha grabbed some knife that was laying on a coffee table and slashed at him.
What are you doing?
Move.
Put it down.
And he grabbed her neck to keep her from stabbing or slashing at him anymore.
He said there was a brief struggle and that he blacked out. And that's all he remembers until he woke up and she wasn't breathing.
Ty, I had to stop her or she was gonna kill me.
To support Tim's testimony, his attorneys submit photographs taken of Tim's hands the night he was arrested. Photographs that suggest Tim had recently been cut by some sort of sharp object.
It was just a little small cut. But that was his story as to how he got the cut.
Tim really believed that he was defending himself and that it was an accident.
It's compelling evidence. And if the jury believes Tim's version of events, it's possible that he will spend little to no time in prison.
It just felt like a nightmare. I just couldn't believe that this was unspiraling the way that it was.
But the scales of justice tipped back in prosecutors' favor when they asked him to explain his ghastly behavior in the wake of Tanisha's death.
He came back to the apartment and started sawing on her. We talked about what he did with the parts of her body. And I asked if he put them on the barbecue pit, and he very quickly corrected me and said, no, I put her in the smoker. One of the young men on the jury looked like he was about to lose his lunch after that.
To me, that's not human.
On the heels of this gruesome testimony, not only does the jury uphold the guilty verdict, but they hammer Tim with the maximum sentence possible.
Assess his punishment at confinement in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 99 years.
They knew that a man that was capable of such a cold-blooded murder and could talk about it in such a way was dangerous and could never be trusted.
But in the minds of Tanisha's friends and family, the punishment doesn't go far enough.
I prefer him to be in a cell 24/7 with a picture of Tanisha that flashes every day. And her name just flashes so you'll never forget why you're in here.
Tanisha's loved ones can take some comfort in the fact that Tim Shepard will never get the chance to hurt another woman again, to never take the life of someone with such intelligence, beauty, and a future of limitless possibilities. Someone like Tanisha Stewart.
When you love somebody that much, you kind of have to, sometimes you have to let them go, and I think he didn't want to let her go. Love got the best of him, and he overreacted, and he did what he did. He didn't want to let her go.